I'm about to disappoint some people. First Encounter Assault Recon landed on store shelves October 17, 2005. You may not realize or remember, but another horror-themed FPS released that same day. It was on PC and Xbox and had a discounted price. That game was Land of the Dead: Road to Fiddler's Green. It felt like a consolation to all of us who were tight on cash and lacking the hardware for PC gaming's latest benchmark.
Welcome.
Developer Brainbox and publisher Groove Games had taken the script for making a third-party budget game and acted it out in reverse. Instead of picking up a licensing deal and rushing a game to market, they had developed a complete single-player game first and then shopped that around. Or so says producer Christopher Locke in an interview with IGN. It's possible this approach was more appealing to licensors, as it meant most of the development cost was already done, but for all I know, the contract might have included paying Groove for their initial investment. It's also possible the discounted sticker price was simply out of necessity to get noticed. Aside from having to sit next to Fear and everything else releasing for the holidays, the Xbox 360 was only a month out. Making matters worse, review scores certainly weren't helping. They averaged below 50%, and a reduced consumer cost would make a purchase more appealing. And yet, in spite of everything being stacked against it, this seemingly unremarkable footnote of a game not only has a cult following, but still has active multiplayer servers. This is impressive for any game pushing 16 years old, let alone one so forgotten. Its legacy centers around its co-op, wave-based zombie defense mode called Invasion. As spoiled as we are today with too many options for this kind of experience, that wasn't the case when this came out. We were still 3 years away from Left 4 Dead and World at War, which introduced the now iconic Nazi zombie mode to the Call of Duty series. Simply put, if you wanted to live out the undead apocalypse movie experience in first person with friends, Land of the Dead might have been the first retail game to do so. Today I'm only talking about the campaign. It's a 4-ish hour prequel to the George Romero film that consists of shooting the undead, looking for health and ammo, poking the undead, looking for health and ammo, exploding the undead. Get on with it! I'm going to spoil the entire story, which isn't hard to do. You see in that IGN story I mentioned, Locke spoiled the entire game with one paragraph of 6 sentences. Even the game's manual summarizes the entire adventure in less than a page. So naturally, I'm going to take what could be summarized in under a minute and turn it into the longest video I've done so far. The game begins with a shot that also spoils the game's ending. I'm sorry, okay. So the game starts with our avatar Jack standing on the rooftop from the end of Ghostbusters. He's going to regale us with how he managed to get from his farm to a penthouse roof covered in corpses. To be honest, that sounds like my kind of adventure, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
The power went out. That happens from time to time out here in the country. Later that day, I noticed a stranger in my yard.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual.
I went out to see what he wanted.
Anyway, I started blasting.
Let's start by saying something nice. The openness of Jack's farm gives the player plenty of room for climatizing to the controls and how the undead move. The scarcity of ammo and low damage of the hammer emphasizes that players should take care not to miss shots and avoid fighting when they can. We learn ferals can be slowed down by shutting doors, but they'll eventually smash through on their own. Diligently check everything, as supplies and mission-critical items may be hidden. And lastly, sometimes we'll have to kill all remaining undead to progress the scripting. But, and sit tight, because there's going to be a lot of buts in this video, here is what this first impression looks like.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
Though I sure was real spooked.
I get myself cornered in the shed, but I squeeze by and shut the door on 3 biters. I come back later to finish them off and... did this guy eat the other 2? Pro tip, when the last 2 bust out of the barn, run inside and replace the hammer with a shovel and grab a stash of ammo.
I killed the strangers. It was them or me. I decided to head over to my neighbors across the cornfield. I just didn't feel safe hanging around here all by myself.
To reach the neighbors, we navigate a helter-skelter hallway of hay bales. There are no signs around saying this is for a festival, so I guess Jack's a hay farmer who's bad at organization. And you know, that actually tracks because on the farm he kept his rifle in the attic and his handgun in the shed. The key to this shed was in a basement file cabinet. The basement door was locked from the inside, presumably by this guy who scared the shit out of me. From the hallway of hay, we reach a cornfield. This should be a pants-shitting iconic moment for the game, and I was apprehensive about wandering into it. So it's only natural I would want to sprint through it, and that's it, I guess. Oh, so that's why the corn grows so good here. I think it was a missed opportunity to not have the enemies coming out of the graves. Grab this shovel if you missed the first one. Take it over to the neighbor's house and dig in.
My neighbors were dead. I didn't know what the heck was going on, and I was scared to death.
The governor is telling everyone to stay in their homes and eat the flesh of the living.
I did what the man on the TV said and stayed on the farm as long as I could. The shortwave radio said that the military had some safe houses set up in the city. The city looked like a war zone. Roads everywhere were blocked. I didn't know where to go until I noticed a flicking light in the hospital up ahead. Someone was signaling SOS.
So Jack decides to investigate the hospital, which is just on the other side of this pileup. Everyone knows that hospitals spook easily, so it's best we detour through the sewer and approach the building from the side. I get that this all-too-conveniently inconvenient row of cars is on fire, so we can't expect Jack to climb over it, but can't we smash a window of a business and go through one of these buildings? Why a sewer? There's less room to maneuver and no landmarks or street signs to help guide us. It's infested with zombies, so clearly it's no safer than the streets. I'm thinking too much on this. We drop into the sewer, and I'm surprised the deadheads don't fall in after us. It could have been another iconic oh shit moment, you know? Something that caught the players off guard, forced them to rush, and maybe oh shit. The sewer is the first of many claustrophobic environments in the game. At first glance, you'd think it was a maze, but like most of the game, it's a winding corridor with small rooms sticking off of it. You might also think you need to fight every undead to avoid getting trapped, but there's just enough room to skirt by.
I got a zombie army, and you can't harm me. Hoodoo your voodoo.
Oh farts, oh farts, oh farts, oh farts, oh farts, oh farts, oh farts. In front of the hospital, I find some doctor's golf club. It feels like a downgrade and may be on par with the hammer. Inside the hospital is a mess of hallways, but don't worry about getting lost. The player is funneled down a set path with bed barriers and one-way doors. So many one-way doors, in fact, you'd think if this place ever had a fire, a lot of people would get crushed up against them. Oh, hello. Is this a fire axe? "10 out of 10, best video game fire axe of 2005. The trick with the axe is to aim above the head. You'll get a satisfying pop nearly every time. We find the guy who signaled us earlier, and he's got himself stuck in a security room. We should just cut our losses and leave. I mean, look at him. He's bleeding. No way that isn't a bite from one of the necros. But no, we're going to check every drawer in every nearby office, looking for a key to the basement in order to power cycle his door. I'm sorry, there should be no such thing as a locked door when I've got a fire axe. On the way to the basement, we find a mortician's Glock. It's weaker than the .22 rifle and can't get headshots, which I'm pretty sure offends every Glock owner ever. At any rate, we flip the breaker, shit's exploding, and who could have guessed the doctor has turned into a brain eater. If it were up to me, I would have introduced both the fire axe and the Glock in the security room so this whole runaround had a payoff. For now, we need to escape. Getting out of the hospital won't be straightforward as everything is on fire. The floors, the walls, the ghouls, everything. Smoke obstructs our vision, and floors are collapsing under our feet. This kind of intense set piece could really be elevated with the right soundtrack to underscore the danger and urgency. With YouTube, I checked, and close to half the game's score is these pianos and xylophone melodies that are simple, repetitive, and, for me personally, distracting. This one in particular seems it would fit better if we were cautiously searching a dark and haunted nursery than it does bludgeoning biters in a burning building. I did like this one because it reminds me of those tracks from Perfect Dark, which themselves sound like they're leftovers from GoldenEye. The score's other half is ambient horror that could really go with anything spooky. None of it ever heightened the atmosphere for me, and right now I'm struggling to say anything else about the music. So as for the rest of the stage, it really should be the most intense level so far. But the fire and smoke aren't used in any interesting ways, so it's still the same move forward and patiently dispatch deadbeats till you find the exit. Thankfully we're not backtracking, but it's just more of the hospital except, hey, it's on fire. Do you see this room? Don't go in this room. Well, I should explain, and I guess now is a good time to talk about the search for health and ammo part of the game. It's a solid design on paper in that you can't breeze through the environment automatically picking things up. Searching requires you stop and look at each drawer and cabinet to open it. You then have to put your cursor on the item itself to pick it up, all while nervously wondering if something is about to bite you in the butt. This is good. It's a good idea. I like it. Where it falls short is execution. Anytime two or more searchable objects are close together, the game has a tough time figuring out which one you want to interact with. Even when it's just one desk, pressing X to pick up whatever is inside could instead close the drawer you just opened. So now you have to open it again, and you fidget jack around hoping to better your chances of picking up the thing inside, but instead you just open another thing behind you or next to you, and so you fidget jack some more, and... So again, it's not worth going in that room. We escape the hospital onto a balcony with no fire escape. I mean, seriously, does this city have no fire code? With no current MacGuffin hunt to guide us, Jack decides to level up his firepower at the police station. Thankfully, getting there takes us through several businesses like I had wanted before. It's here I have my first death that isn't a suicide or scripted event. The new enemies are spitters and identified by their pigpen clouds. The spit obscures your vision and deals damage over time, quite a lot if you're playing on hard. What makes them extra dangerous is the damage from their spit hits you before any vomit comes out of their mouths. You definitely don't want to use the fire axe on them. The shotgun also makes an introduction, and I'll let the footage speak for itself. The police station marks a turning point in my playstyle. Up to now, I've been avoiding a lot of fights because ammo was scarce and the environments were large enough for me to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge the draggers. Here, I find plenty of ammo to hit the limit that I can carry, and the spitting geeks make it too risky to try and dodge every encounter. Worse still is that some of them explode with enormous range. We come across our first named character, Otis. He's locked in a jail cell to which we have no key, so you know what that means.
Otis was sure glad to be free. The radio said there was a safe house and an old theater nearby. We could go there. Otis had an 18-wheeler cab in the impound lot. He would get it and pick me up, and then we'd make for the theater. My job was to cover him from the roof. First, I needed a rifle with a scope, and I was in the right place to find one.
We find a code to the armory, grab a rifle, and head to the roof to recreate that scene from Day of the Dead 2004.
Otis was ready to run to the truck. I didn't have many bullets in the sniper rifle, so I had to be careful.
Pants down, the sniper is the best gun in the game. It's great at popping heads, and you don't even need the scope. For me, this rooftop sequence was tense and memorable. Covering Otis requires we move up and down the roof while nervously watching our back for stragglers. As he moves further away, the sniping gets progressively harder. De-scoping is required to cycle the bolt, and for those full-on, oh shit, I'm empty moments, Jack never automatically reloads when empty. Again, great ideas for this kind of game. But What I remember is how Otis takes the most nonsensical route to his truck. He stops every 20 feet to politely wait for rotters to spawn in. The only thing blocking him is a locked gate, but after that, there is nothing else in his way. Now, I understand having him sprint straight to the truck wouldn't have been fun for players, but it's just another case of the execution not living up to the idea. After all that hard work and risking our neck for Otis, he just drives off. You know, I should have shot his gas tank when I had the chance. Getting to the theater somehow means not one, but 2 more sewer chapters. Shocker! Otis isn't at the theater, and it's been overrun. Maybe if someone hadn't left their M16 laying in the hallway and its ammo scattered all around the bathroom, they'd still be alive. You know, I would do another metal montage for you, but that's played out, so we'll move on. While I do appreciate the change in scenery, nothing happens here besides splattering more slackjaws. I did enjoy the use of body bags as makeshift barriers. I mean, I'm just imagining someone going through all that hard work of carrying several thousand pounds of deceased bodies, stacking them up all in one spot in the hallway just to have stragglers climb over and eat their face anyway.
I woke up to honking. Otis came back for me. A trucker on his CB radio told him about a city of the living.
Huh. The streets were so choked with cars and fire that Jack had to literally swim through the sewer, are now completely barren for this semi-truck to just drive full ass down the street. The city of the living is on an island, so we head to the docks for a boat. We get to escort Otis again, but I don't have anything interesting or witty in my notes, so let's dive into the weapons. You can carry 1 melee weapon at a time, and they never break. The only 2 you should ever use are the shovel and the fire axe. A shovel can be found in your barn, and you only need it until getting the fire axe. You want the axe because it's the only non-firearm that can score a headshot. I should mention pressing B does a poke attack that knocks down whatever biter it hits. I got through 3/4 of the game not knowing about it. While I find it funny as hell and would love to have this in something like GTA, it feels pointless when I can just as easily make their heads explode. Okay, so I just loaded up the game to get some B-roll footage of the poke attack using the axe. Turns out if an axe poke connects with a limb, that body part just fucking explodes. So if you can hit them in the head, it's an instant kill every time, or at least here in the police station where I tested it. This doesn't work with the lead pipe, shovel, or hammer, and I don't feel like testing the baseball bat or golf club. Those are like deep in a level. I have to go find them. Anyway, this just further emphasizes that the axe is the only melee weapon you should ever use. Now back to me. Which brings us to the firearms. Each one feels designed in a way to never let you feel like you completely have the upper hand. Going back to the shotgun, yes, it has an annoyingly exaggerated pellet spread, but that's so you have to get uncomfortably close to be effective. I still think it's too weak, especially for a first-person shooter with undead. The .22 rifle consistently dropped corpses in 4 bullets no matter the range, but it can't dismember and is lever action. The Glock also can't dismember and is weaker than the .22, but has a much faster firing rate. The M16 can get headshots and is full auto, but the recoil will have you wasting bullets if you don't fire in bursts. Which leaves my 2 favorites. The sniper, of course, lets you get reliable headshots, at range, without having to aim down sights. That means it's probably overpowered for this game. The revolver is like a less accurate sniper rifle that has the most pleasing... Ooh, one more time. Follow that up with a nice gooey Toll House headshot.
That sounds good.
Look, credit where it's due. I may not have connected with the music, but the Foley work is exceptional. Okay, maybe there is one good reason to use the hammer. The dismemberment system is mwah. I've been mentioning that some weapons can't dismember or headshot, and technically those are the same thing. Other reviews have mentioned the game has a hit detection issue, and yeah, there were plenty of times an arm fell off when I clearly shot something in the face. And as annoying as that should be, it kinda added to the game's tension. The final tools in the arsenal are grenades and Molotovs. Jack must have been a high school quarterback because he throws exactly where I want him to. Well, most of the time. You'd think setting a pack of chompers alight would be a bad idea, but fire spreads between corpses, and if you're patient, they eventually die. You just need to make sure you have enough room to retreat and wait it out. Getting back to the story, we play Goldilocks with some boats. The fourth one is just right, but Jack has to run off and open the gate. I suppose Otis is staying behind to ensure that none of the Deadites steal it? Along the way, I find this room with an unusually low ceiling, just packed with dumpsters and fuel barrels.
You've been around a lot of corpses. Is that normal?
This right here has got to be the saddest basement office ever. As we near the end of our adventure, you'll notice a decline to the environmental detail. Back in the IGN interview, it was mentioned they had added locations specific to the movie after the deal was struck with Universal. I wonder if they didn't have much time to work on these. Back at the boat, we see ketchup on Otis's shirt, which violates Jack's only rule of no eating on his boat. I'm afraid Otis has to go.
They got me.
Oh shit, Otis. Oh my god, that was supposed to kill you. I am so sorry. It's the hit detection. You know how it is. Jack decides to pilot the boat not to the City of the Living, but to the city across the river from the City of the Living. It's here we're greeted by the ghost of Otis. Before they allow Jack into their group, he must go through several initiation tests. First, they lock Jack into an alley to see how he handles lurkers up close. Nothing he hasn't done before. Second, he needs to power on a generator and lower a bridge to the city while a group of survivors sit in their cars and watch. Thirdly, when waves of undead follow us, Jack must prove his mettle by single-handedly stopping the horde. To keep the pressure on him, the gates of the city are left wide open. His potential compatriots once again render no aid and relax in their cars. If so much as a torso of a corpse is blown past the gates, we reload the last checkpoint. Of course, I'm kidding about all this being an initiation. It's just awkward level scripting I've decided to world build on top of. Like that dead guy who was locked in Jack's basement. The guy talking to Jack is Kaufman, portrayed in the film by Dennis the fucking Koopa King Hoppa. He says if we clear all the munchers out of Fiddler's Green Tower, he'll give us a ton of money and let us live there. Although, I'm not sure what good money is anymore, and with how efficient Jack is at making dead things deader, I think it's Jack who should be making the offer for Kaufman to stay. We start in the parking garage, and yep, it's a parking garage. I did find this one Easter egg.
I know Kung Fu.
No thanks, I'll stick with the fire axe. From there we explore the tower's atrium. Remember how I said the environments were getting less detailed and felt rushed? We'll check out this restaurant kitchen using the same texture on the floor, ceiling, walls, and counters. This kind of thing is seen throughout the atrium, including the bank that locks employees behind a chain-link fence. Hold up. If any of you are commenting to remind me this is a budget title, I have not forgotten. Look, I've seen more detailed environments in this game, so I think it's only fair to point all this out. Of course, gameplay is king, and it's not faring much better as we lead into the game's climax. Jack has to secure each area, which includes a sniping section where the AI can't pathfind. In fact, my last pro tip is transferable to a lot of games. If enemies rely on the nav mesh, get off the nav mesh. Before heading up, we must clear several waves of shufflers from the food court, which is only worth mentioning because of what's about to happen on the roof. After that, we skip this many stories and go straight to the top floor penthouse. With hundreds of vanquished undead in his wake, I think it would be okay if Jack took a breather with the relaxing art tour. The posh pad seems untouched by the apocalypse, but there's still a few lurkers lounging about. It's also lacking in terms of supplies, which is going to be a problem if you are low on ammo or especially health.
Reanimated corpses are no longer your parent, sibling, co-worker, or friend. They are horrible monsters that must be destroyed.
Hey, I think that one's my old gym teacher. Similar to the atrium we just cleared, the rooftop fight is a holdout against waves of Zeeks. But unlike the atrium, it's very close quarters, and that makes it fun again. There are no ammo or health pickups here, so whatever you start the fight with is all you have. If it winds up being too hard, you'll have to load a checkpoint maybe as far back as the parking garage, and play more conservatively. And truth be told, this game has been at its best when I was overwhelmed and under-equipped. There has been plenty of ammo to find since the police station, and this removed a lot of the game's tension. That, plus the openness of recent chapters, had left me feeling bored. If for some reason I was ever to revisit this campaign, I think I'd like to try a melee-only run. Even coming into this fight well armed, the tiny arena keeps you hopping and sprinting, just desperately trying to create some distance to pop off a few shots. It's a shame more of the experience didn't feel this way. And yes, I did try to get off the nav mesh. It thankfully didn't work. And that's the campaign to Land of the Dead Road to Fiddler's Green for the Xbox. You know, I did play this game when it was new, but I was so unimpressed I quit when I reached the city. It sat on my shelf for, 16 years now, and I'm relieved to have finally beaten it. Its launch price was $30, and like everything retro gaming these days, its price is way higher than it should be. So I think it's still important to let people know what they're getting before they buy it. I mean, if I had never heard of this game and you told me there was a zombie first-person shooter on the original Xbox, I wouldn't even let you finish the sentence before I rushed out and bought it. But no, I don't think it's worth its current asking price. As I said in the intro, the game's legacy is on PC and centers around the community and the mods they made. I found one single-player mod called Dead Epidemic. It's buggy, unfinished, and fucking awesome.
Shit, they're coming in.
Dear God, save us!
Don't shoot! I'm human! Shit, boy, you almost got yourself killed there.
I already live streamed it once with Noah, and I'd very much like to give it the review it deserves. Oh god,
there was a
Jesus
red
Christ!
bear.
They snuck up on me.
Yeah, there was a red bear. A cosplayer. Dang. You took like 3 Magnum rounds to the face.
Let's talk to him about the Avengers Initiative. Take it, Nunn. Get out of here.
We need to get this headless zombie corpse on the Avengers.
Before I go, I want to make a request to any of you who have genuine affection for this game's campaign. If you love this game, wear it with pride. When someone like me comes along saying it's a bad game, stand up straight, look them dead in the eye and say, "You're goddamn right it's a bad game and I fucking love it." A game that fits this bill for me is Driver 3. I completely agree with all the negative reviews that game got, but damn if I didn't spend dozens of hours exploring its maps and making my own car chase music videos. When you're drawn to an outcast of a game that everyone else says is a waste of time, that makes you a Goonie. And Goonies never say die.
Just because it was first doesn't make it underrated.